What's up, everyone? Welcome to an all-new episode of State of the League. Major news. This week, we announced our next round of financing for the PLL. It's called our Series A. It can also be called a growth round. But on this video, we're going to talk about what it takes to raise money for the next major pro sports league, how we went about doing it, and what it means for the PLL. So when you talk about fundraising for a business, you got to get a couple of things right first. Number one, you have to have your concept. And on the first episode of State of the League, we talked about what that concept was. Quick highlight.
Your media business, which this is a part of. You have your corporate partnerships. You have your product on field, your ticket sales, the game experience for the players and the fans, the competition. That's the most important thing. Then you have your merchandise, then you have your youth strategy, and then you have your charitable initiative.
And number two, you have to build out the right business model. So you can take that business model to the investor world and try to raise money so you can procure that concept, which was number one. Our business model at a very high level, because it gets super nuanced, but at a high level, it consists of how we're building around the players. So their compensation, their travel, the hospitality, how they perform on field. The players are first. Second is the league. So we want to look at executive hires, infrastructure, meaning our offices and venues that we go to, and a number of other things that allow the league to perform all the way top-down teams back to players. And the third one is how we think about media. We look at sports as about 95% consumed through all different forms of content, broadcasts, through social like this, and digital on our website. So building out the right team there and having the right tools to go execute. Those are three things that are really important. Of course, there's a lot of other things, but you've got to have your business plan, and then you take it to the investors. All right, we have our concept and our business plan, then you go out to the marketplace and you find investors to fund the business plan so this whole thing can come to fruition. Here are some high-level ways that gets done. So you have your owners and your founding team, myself and you know Mike from episode 2 of State of the League. What we had to do was create a share pool of our concept and business plan and allocate a value per share. So then we could go find investors who are interested in purchasing those shares from us. In return, they get ownership on our capitalization table of the league, and they own the teams as well as the product. In return, we get that financing to go fund our business plan. So yeah, that sounds really simple, and there are thousands of nuances from stress testing the business model to looking at comps and case studies of other leagues, all of which we discussed with our investors to prove out before we even took our first face-off why this was going to work. So you do go through all of that. But in the end, our idea is to build a team of amazing investors, the best players in the world, advisors and executives that can take this game to the masses. And we feel like we've done that. Now at the beginning, I call this our Series A, so let me explain why. This is our second round of financing. Our first round existed in October when we made our first public announcement. So that included who our investors were on the outset, our NBC partnership, and the players. We received so much interest and support from mainly you all, and then inside of the community and outside of the community, that we continued to receive inbound interest from other strategic investors who wanted to get involved. Now to the people who are investing. I spent a lot of time on this video talking about concept and business plan, but in episode 2, Mike talked about our broader thesis.
People build businesses, not Excel spreadsheets.
And we think about that with our strategic investors as well. We brought on 2 new folks in this second round of financing. One is Joe Ty, and the other is Brett Jefferson. Joe on behalf of his sports investment group, J Ty Sports, and then Brett Jefferson's family office. I'm going to share a little bit about each of them with you, as well as our follow-on lead investor, the Rain Group. Joe Ty. He's been a friend of mine for the last couple of years, but he's incredibly valuable to the success of our sport and more broadly sports and technology. A little bit about him. He's the co-founder of Alibaba. It's one of the largest companies in the world. It's a top 5 on any given day in its total market cap value. He co-founded that business with Jack Ma. He specializes in financial structuring, on legal, and mergers and acquisitions, also called M&A. But Alibaba sits at the intersection of technology and commerce. So it's strategic for us with our business. Secondly, J Ty Sports is also an owner of the San Diego Seals, which is an NLL team, the Brooklyn Nets in the NBA, and the New York Liberty in the WNBA. So there are all these cross-promotional opportunities as well as learnings for us in the PLL based on Joe's involvement in other sports. And lastly for Joe, probably most importantly, he grew up playing lacrosse. He played lacrosse at Yale, he played at Lawrenceville High School. He loves this game. He's so passionate about it, and he's driven to make the PLL and the NLL successful. Now, Brett Jefferson. Brett played lacrosse at Syracuse. He played with the Gates. He knows everyone in the industry, but he's also the founder and CEO of Hildene Capital. Hildene Capital is one of North America's largest hedge funds. He knows finance better than most, and he cares so much about the game. He calls Mike and I daily, gives us suggestions, asks about team marks, asks about team formations, and most importantly says, how can I help? Those are the type of strategic people you want in the organization, who are not just giving you investment capital, but are saying, hey, let me offer you support. And now finally, the Rain Group. They say there's no better market indicator for a founding team of a venture-backed business than to have your lead investors follow on in subsequent rounds. It's a validation of what you've set out to build and their continued energy and the original thought and where it's progressed. Rain Group has been incredibly valuable to us, their team, all the way through their extended advisory network. They have involvement in media and sports. They're investors in DraftKings. They're investors in Nitro Circus, which is Travis Pastrana, tour-based action sports model. They're investors in Cheddar and Vice. They've helped with Live Nation. They've helped with Wanderlust, which is a big music tour. They've also been strategic with the NBA, groups like the LA Clippers, as well as the UFC and Chelsea Football Club. From our perspective, there's no bigger group with a wider set of experience across all sports and media than the Rain Group, and they've been with us since day one and have continued on in this Series A round. So yes, this week's news was major for the PLL, for our investors, for our executive team, for the players, but most importantly, you. If we do this thing right, if we build the PLL as the professional sports league in lacrosse, we hope to have the impact that the NBA did to basketball, that the NFL did to football, the PGA Tour did to golf and NASCAR, to racing, and most recently the UFC to MMA. The impact that we'll have will benefit the game internationally, college, high school, all the way down to youth, both men's and women's. And we're gonna work tirelessly, day in and day out, to prove this out and bring the game to the masses. But we're also gonna rely on your support. So thanks for tuning into this video, and right now comment below any questions you have. I'll be around, Mike will be around, and some of the rest of our executives will be around to answer them. And in the coming weeks, we'll have another State of the League video on more updates on what we're bringing. The first face-off is June 1. Looking forward to seeing you then.
Cool.